So Maria, you're joining us from Romania. What city are you in?
I'm based in Bucharest, Romania. And I was not born here, actually. I was born in the northern part of Romania, but I came here for my university studies. I actually went to a bilingual high school in Iași, which is the capital of Moldavia, not to be mistaken for Moldova. I attended a bilingual high school there, studying with native teachers from France, UK, US. Then I came to Bucharest for my university studies, because at the time, Iași, which is one of the biggest university centers in Romania, did not have a section for translators and interpreters as the University of Bucharest had. So as I wanted to become a professional translator, I came here to Bucharest for my university studies. And after the second year of study, I had to pass some exam in order to be admitted to this special section for translators and interpreters. And after that, I attended a European MA program in translation studies and conference interpreting, organized by the University of Bucharest with the support of the European Commission. But at the time when I attended this MA program, I was already working as both as a translator and as an interpreter.
Wow.
That to be put in a nutshell.
That's a lot. Okay. So that was a lot of wonderful photos. So it's just mind-boggling. And I knew that you had worked with some famous people, but tell us a couple stories from this whole amazing photo gallery. Armand, tell us about
Armand Assante. Yeah, some of those photos go back to my early years as an interpreter. At the time, I was a very close collaborator of one of the main TV stations in Romania, private TV stations in Romania. I started as a live simultaneous interpreter for them, because most of their programs were dubbed live. So basically you would see the Romanian anchor, but you would hear me speaking, translating actually in English in real time. After 2 years, I joined the movie translator department team. But as there were many movies filmed on the sets belonging to this TV station, I got the chance to meet a couple of celebrities. Armand Assante was making a movie at the time in Romania. He was invited to attend this TV show broadcast live, hosted by what was at the time our opera. So a very famous and popular TV anchor, our opera at the time. I was supposed to be in my booth doing live simultaneous interpreting, but when I got there, the producer told me that he has some problem. He cannot hear very well with one ear. So basically, I was asked to attend the show on the set live in front of the cameras, sitting next to Armand Assante and doing simultaneous interpreting. He was such a nice guy. I mean, it felt as if we had known each other for a lifetime. We were just little buddies. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna be live in a couple of minutes. Yes, wow. such a great guy.
Wow, and the fact that he's so close to you, not only is he really enjoying your company, but also to hear you, is that correct? So he was leaning close in.
Yes, as you can imagine, he doesn't speak any Romanian, so as all the show was in Romanian, he basically relied on me this whole time.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So that's amazing. And then those other photos show you in the TV setting. There's a booth that shows where you have the equipment. There's just, it seems like a portfolio of photographs. And so tell us about those days.
Yeah, these were some very busy years for me as an interpreter, because there were a lot of movies filmed in Romania at the time. Many of these famous actors were invited to attend this TV show, which was, as I told you, very popular. The rating was very high at the time. So this is how I got the chance to meet and interpret for not just Armand Assante. At some point there was Mike Davis, you know, the movie director.
Oh, sure.
Ethan Hawke.
Wow.
Invited by his mother actually to attend the show, because Leslie Hawke has had an NGO in Romania for some years now. It's an NGO for the Roma children here.
Interesting.
So basically it was like a PR movie, if you want, bringing more popularity and more visibility to this NGO run by his mother. Then the Chippendales, yes.
So what's the deal with the Chippendales? Seriously.
They were invited. Actually, they also had the show. They also performed for the International Women's Day. And they were also invited to attend this show. And as always, I was doing simultaneous interpreting for the Romanian audience. And of course, at the end, the usual photo with the celebrity, just, you know, for my records, for my portfolio.
Oh my goodness, very impressive. So you got started in the movie translation first or the interpreting? What came first?
I started as an interpreter, as a conference interpreter, because to be very honest, this is what I have wanted to do my whole life. So I started being a language graduate. I started doing simultaneous interpreting first for a market research company, which was organizing focus groups. And somewhere in the background, there was a representative of that particular company sponsoring the market research. Some people from the marketing department, you would have the focus group and all these people speaking many times, all at the same time in Romania. And I was supposed to do simultaneous interpreting into English or French. Usually it was English. Then I started this collaboration, this long-term collaboration as a movie translator and interpreter with this TV station in Romania. And at the time, as I told you, this lady who can be considered our opera, or could have been considered our opera at the time, was inviting quite often celebrities and actors who came to Romania for different projects. So she would invite them on set to attend her show, and always they needed someone in the booth to translate for the Romanian audience. And for the celebrity as well, from Romanian into English and from English into Romanian for the audience, for the viewers back home.
Wow, fascinating. And yeah, so you've put yourself into a place to be noticed, which is really a good thing to mention to everyone. If you want to advance in your career, you know, taking on opportunities is always good. I see Zach Hatkins in the audience. We had a day in the life of a localization project manager, and Zach from Netflix was talking about that same kind of thing where you put yourself out there. You know, if you're doing interviews, if you have any pieces that have you, put it in your LinkedIn. And for you, Maria, just being out there and doing the work, and then people notice you, and then that's how you get opportunities. So this is very interesting. And so it sounds like you have kind of a half and half love of both movie translating and interpreting, but the interpreting is really active in getting you mingling with famous people, obviously. Is that your favorite task to do?
My favorite thing to do. Uh,
Or can you choose?
I could never choose. I could never choose, you know. In terms of speaking strictly about translation, yes, movie translation is definitely my favorite thing to do. But when it comes to, I don't know, maybe choosing, I have to say that simultaneous interpreting is my favorite thing because it has this adrenaline, you know, with it. When you go live, when you do simultaneous interpreting, anything can happen. And I have so many stories about that. At some point, we were broadcasting. There was this TV news special edition when Romania was invited to join NATO. There was a 3-hour live transmission, and at some point the server broke, or I don't know exactly what happened, and the screen went black, completely black, for a couple of seconds, if not minutes, which felt like forever. I was doing relay because there was Vlaha Havel speaking in Czech. So I was picking up the translation into English from Czech, rendering it live into Romanian for the Romanian viewers. And you can imagine when you have a black screen, server down, and you come back and you only hear Czech in the headset.
Gosh.
And the producer is screaming, translate, say something, we're live. So anything can happen. Yes, adrenaline is definitely a part of it, which gets me going. But movie translation, yes, is something I would never give up.
Okay, so we
So
should talk about
I
the
do
movie.
combine them both.
Yeah.
And coming back to what you were saying earlier, if I may, yes, the idea for me was to treat any single project, no matter how small it might seem, with the same kind of seriousness and commitment and professionalism, because it all adds up to your work experience. When I started, we didn't have LinkedIn, we didn't have Google, we didn't have all these jobs, websites.
Sure.
Our main source were the ads we found at the university, on a billboard at the university, posted by different companies in need for a translator or an interpreter or whatever. So just be there, be open, take whatever project. Back then, I even did translation for free pro bono, but I didn't mind. I never got paid, but I didn't mind because it helped me gain experience.
Sure.
Nowadays, yes, be present, be there, be online. You have LinkedIn, you have so many tools and platforms. Just let people know you're out there and willing to take work. And of course, it always helps to have some specializations, you know, to have some areas of expertise if you want.
Oh, very good. Okay, and what would you say? Well, you have so many. Can you give just a few of your areas of expertise? Do you gravitate toward legal or, well, media is your number one?
Yes, media is in my top 5 or top 10, if you want. Just like medical school students, we were supposed to pick up 2 or 3 fields of activities, areas of expertise to be specialized in when starting at university. I chose legal, marketing, and media. But then started to do some work in IT, software, technical, agriculture, defense and security, because at some point they all get related, you know, legal with commercial, marketing with finance. You do get to of course, you do have some favorite areas of expertise. For me, media is definitely one of them. It's in my top 5. What I love doing the most is definitely conference interpreting, which nowadays happens online.
Yeah.
Last time I went on site for a conference where I was supposed to do simultaneous interpreting was in November 2019.
Wow.
Ever since, I've been online.
Yes,
Because
of course.
now you all have you have all these platforms that you connect to. All these events are held online. But otherwise, yeah, I do translation, I do transcription, especially for the medical and healthcare industry. I do proofreading, back translation, so more or less all these areas related to translation, proofreading, and conference interpreting. But yes, interpreting is my favorite thing.
It really seems like, yeah.
And movie translation, yes.
Okay, very good. Well, so let's talk about movie translation for a minute. Walk us through. Now, I know there's software and certain things and proprietary little bits that you can't talk about. That's fine. If you can, walk us through a typical day. Say that you're going to translate something for Romanian TV or Netflix. Are they different? What's the day like? All right.
Yes. When I do movie translation for Netflix, I work with their software.
Sure.
And anyway, this type of software resembles a cat tool.
Sure.
With the mentioning that you also have like a small window playing the video. Okay,
Yes.
so it's like a cat tool where you have the source text, the target text, the target box,
Sure.
if you want, depending on your target language, and also the cue in, cue out. So the exact time when that particular subtitles goes on screen and then goes off screen. All right. For the Romanian TV station, things are different because there are several stages. Work is very well divided in the sense that I'm just the first stage. So I get the script, I get the video, I do the translation and adaptation. A very important thing is to comply with all the requirements and specifications, because there are limitations in terms of characters and in terms of speed and frames per second. This is technical stuff. When I do a translation for channels like, I don't know, Investigation Discovery or TLC. For Investigation Discovery, I usually simply watch the video and take down terms, write down terms, pay attention to various constructions, combination of words, write down the translation that I think would fit best the context. Then I start doing the translation, and at the end I watch again the video with the translation for me to make sure that the translation conveys exactly the message and sticks to the video and the audio that people hear and see.
Fascinating. And that's not easy because
No,
English
that's not
is so
easy.
different.
First of all, because English is a synthetical language, Romanian is analytical, which means that basically you need more words in Romanian to say the same thing as in English.
Wow.
Okay. So the biggest challenge regarding movie translation is adaptation, because you have this limitation, frames per second, number of characters per row. Plus there's a difference. It depends if it's a movie for children or if it's a movie for grown-ups. The speed is different. This limitation in terms of frames per second is different. For children movie or for an adult grown-up movie.
Oh, fantastic.
So there are all these technical specifications and requirements that you receive from your client and you have to comply with. So adaptation is definitely, and this limitation in terms of characters and frames per second is definitely the biggest challenge in movie translation.
Oh my gosh, that's very interesting. And then if you're using terminology for children, it's going to be a different type of words than for the adults?
Yes, I mean you have to be somehow in that child's shoes. You have to think and ask yourself, will a child understand this word? You know. So always think of your target audience. Always adapt your language and your style and language registry to the target audience. Okay.
Absolutely.
If it's a documentary, if it's investigation discovery, I mean, you can suppose that people do have some knowledge and have some understanding of what a criminal investigation is about, you know, as opposed to, I don't know, documentaries on Travel Channel or whatever.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Wow. So that's very interesting. And I know everybody is really intrigued about how do you go into this whole process. So you have this system with dashboards and you're entering it in, and then you have to work within the limitations of the frames and stuff. Is that a different process? So for interpreting, it's just your voice and you're right there in the booth and it could be live. So you're right there, as opposed to a more casual process of doing the movie translation adaptation. With the live, you don't have time to really think about it. You have to have it right there in your mind. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing about interpreting. You can be a translator without being an interpreter. But in order to be an interpreter, you have to be, first of all, a very good translator, because everything is live, everything is in real time. Although they consider consecutive interpreting to be more difficult than simultaneous interpreting, unless you can keep up with the pace and speed, because people attending a conference usually forget about interpreters and they start speaking and going very fast about this topic they're very passionate about. So speed is the operative word when it comes to simultaneous interpreting, especially when it comes to remote/online interpreting, where they don't see you. You don't get the chance to sit next to a sound engineer. So you have to be very fast in delivering the right message into the target language. When it comes to consecutive interpreting, you get the chance, but this shouldn't be a rule. This should be rather an exception. You do get the chance to stop this, to ask the speaker to repeat a sentence or a particular word that you didn't understand. You do get to write, even in simultaneous interpreting, you do get to write down things. But there, things go so fast that, well, most of the time you don't do it. Versus consecutive interpreting, where you do get the chance to write down, and it is recommended to write down figures, names, years, stuff like that, percentages, not to mix up, because you have to render them exactly.
Amazing. Wow.
As such.
And you've taken on that challenge. And you were telling me a story the other day, and I really want you to repeat that for our audience. They're going to find this a lot of fun.
I told you so many stories.
I know. Well, the one that's really big in my mind, where you had to play the part of two completely different people, politicians.
Oh, yes.
Tell us.
Yes, so there is this TV station in Romania which has a partnership with CNN. And so they decided back in 2016 to broadcast live the US elections, and prior to that, the US debates regarding the US elections. And there was quite a show because it was 4 a.m. in my time zone. Okay.
Wow.
You could barely stay up. And the debates would run for 1 hour and a half with no commercial breaks, no interruption whatsoever.
Amazing.
And because in Romania, there are very few interpreters who do live simultaneous interpreting. For the first round, the first debates, I was alone. You normally have a booth partner, someone you pair with. But for the first debates, because the decision was taking late and they couldn't find a second interpreter, I was playing both Hillary and Trump. And believe me, after translating, interpreting, let's say Trump's speech, okay, you can do anything.
Wonderful.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I mean,
oh my gosh, and such
wouldn't
different
finish
people.
his sentences. He would use play upon words. I don't mind. I love play upon words and metaphors, but at least finish your sentence, because I cannot,
oh, that would be hard.
Words from
yes.
me.
Oh my
I cannot
gosh.
finish your sentence, and the audience only hears me, so they'll think, oh she didn't interpret everything, she skipped things,
You should
because when you're live on TV, it's not like in a conference where you have this option to listen to the flow or to choose a channel and listen the translation into that particular language. When we're talking about television, you see Hillary, you see Donald, you see everyone, but you only hear me. So if I'm not saying anything, you will not hear anything. So
yeah, you should have won an award for the effort for even trying both of those people.
I feel so strong. I mean, I can do anything.
You can do anything now.
Yeah, after this US debates and US elections, I can do anything.
It was amazing over here too. So wow, that's a great story. Oh my gosh. Well, we're getting into probably time for Q&A pretty soon. You have so many stories, but there's questions to be asked. Okay. Oh my gosh, and we've got some questions coming up here. So yeah, the style of people that you've had to be your own person, but then reflect their words while at the same time translating so that the people listening can understand. What's your greatest satisfaction as an interpreter?
As an interpreter, I have to say this is something I haven't mentioned today. I was telling you about it during our previous discussions. I have also had the chance to do interpreting assignments at a very high level for Romanian official delegations. The highest level I interpreted in my country was President, Secretary of State, Ambassador. And I was still in my early years when I got the chance to accompany a Romanian official delegation to Brussels, to NATO. So that's definitely one of the things I'm most proud of, doing simultaneous interpreting at NATO, wow. Doing consecutive interpreting in some Middle East countries, also as an official interpreter. And of course, this meeting with Armand Assante, I have to say, I was so young at the time. I was in my early years, at the very beginning of my career. And to have such a huge star by your side. So doing interpreting live for someone like Armand Assante or Ethan Hawke or Michael Bolton. I was in my 20s. This was like a school. It was training on the job, you may say.
Yes,
So. This was
absolutely.
like a school to me. And when all these people come and thank you, although they don't have to, I mean, okay, they attend the event, you do your part, you do your job, this is what you are paid for. But when they really feel the need to approach you after the event and thank you for your work, you couldn't ask for more.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Especially when this is your calling and this is your passion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so another question. Oh, and yeah, thanks, Alexi, for that question. Claire Smith asks, Maria, absolute pleasure listening to you. Have you had any setbacks during your incredible career? If so, how did you deal with those?
Luckily, I am a very flexible and versatile person, as I was telling you. So when I don't have any conferences, I do over the phone interpreting. This is a constant. I have this client from the United States, and they are in constant need for Romanian interpreters. So I don't know, let's say I don't have any work, any job assignment whatsoever. I do over the phone interpreting.
Sure.
If I don't have any, I don't want to pick up any call and do over the phone interpreting. I do transcription and proofreading for an agency that works for the big names in the pharma industry. Because as I told you, I cover many related fields in this translation and localization plus interpreting business. So I do translation, I do proofreading, I do back translation. I do machine translation post editing. This is a thing now.
Yeah.
All major companies have this machine translation machines that they want to train, and I'm even involved in a training in a machine translation training program. So it's like a CAT tool whereby you aim at teaching, if you want, that machine to translate.
Sure. You're training, yes.
Yes. So since I cover several fields, several areas related to what we globally call translation, localization, and interpreting, there's always something out there, especially since I've been in the industry for 22 plus years now.
Sure, sure. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah. And okay, so now we have a question. How did you manage the diplomatic exchange? I can tell you're already very diplomatic in your personality. But in
my mother would disagree.
Oh dear.
Yes. But that's a different story. That's a different episode. I have to tell you, I was a bit you didn't realize when you're so young and you work at such a high level, you don't realize it. You think this is normal, working with ambassadors and accompanying official delegation and translating for secretaries of state and ministers. It's the normal thing to do. So how should I put it? I was lucky enough to get this chance to do this in my 20s. At the beginning of my career, I didn't exactly realize this. I knew I was supposed to do my job, and their vote of confidence made me be better and better every time with every new assignment. Absolutely. Of course, you have to be very discreet about it, very polite, very diplomatic. It's like you're never there, you do your part and then you're out of the picture.
So yeah, you would be invisible because what you're doing is...
You are invisible.
That's fascinating. Everyone should hang on to that concept. Yeah. I think that's a really good illustration. If you're doing a good job,
have to be very, very discreet, prepare, be careful about the peculiarities of the country you travel to. Things like greeting, do's and don'ts.
Sure. That's true. You're going to have to know
greeting
cultural
customs and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Oh, thank you. This is so valuable in so many ways. So we have another question from Dr. Nighttime. Do you get stuck for a word expression sometime and need to cover it up? I bet you have some. Well, you're very, very fluent, so I can't imagine. But
yeah, but
what do you do?
The rule when you're live on television is if you don't understand or if that particular word doesn't come up right now, you have to improvise. I mean, as a live TV shows interpreter, you have to be also an actor. You act a bit. You have to modulate your voice, and you have to be very spontaneous. Maybe you don't know what stamina is, or the equivalent in Romania doesn't come, that you don't remember the word for it in Romania. You have to improvise, you have to paraphrase, you have to say the same thing using other words, paraphrase, improvise. Just don't stop. Talk. People out there, people back there at home, they don't know that you don't know what stamina is. For instance, this is just an example.
Sure.
Okay. They listen to you. Okay, they don't want to hear breaks, interruptions. They hear the English speaker in the background, so they're wondering, why isn't she or he saying anything?
Exactly.
So speak. That's why I was saying that with simultaneous interpreting, speed is the operative word.
Wow.
Never make breaks. It's like a movie,
Sure. Oh, that's amazing. What's like reality TV?
Don't show them you are nervous and you're scared and wow, I don't know that term. No, never show it.
Oh, that's amazing. And so you're giving really good advice to anybody out there that wants to get into simultaneous interpreting. And I think you've already inspired. So I have to tell everybody, those of you that have joined late, you missed the photo display at the beginning, and we showed photos of all the famous people, actors, directors, and the Chippendales.
We can do a sequel.
Male dancers. And what's interesting is Maria has interpreted for Romanian TV and translation for Netflix and Romanian TV, and just all of these people and projects. So the way I see it, Maria is a media star, the voice of Romania. And the questions that are coming up now are really good. It's like a workshop we're giving you in a way. So another question's coming up. Gabriella, hi Gabriella. My question is related to inclusive language. She knows as a translator, working with French and Romanian. Oh yeah, that's right, Gabriella. She says it use a lot inclusive expression and words. How does that same theory work in interpretation? Are you able to do that?
Well, I would have to say that it very much depends on the topic addressed during that particular conference. Again, these are the specifications for a conference versus specifications for a movie. You have to document yourself. You have to, to do your homework prior to that event. Know who the speakers are. Know what the goal of that particular meeting is. Are they launching a new product? Is just a town hall? Are they trying to, I don't know, win more pitches or whatever? So depending on all these specifications, if you will, you adapt your speech as an interpreter when doing simultaneous interpreting. Absolutely. You always think of the target audience that you're basically interpreting for.
Oh yeah, very
I've
good.
seen a question regarding the machine can artificial intelligence, or machine interpreter replace humans in translation and interpreting. My answer is No way, Jose. No way, Jose. I mean,
Yeah.
even for that's why you have machine translation post editing. Because, okay, yes, I've seen sentences translated by a machine. Wow, which was like, wow, but simple words, simple sentences.
Sure.
Sentences in which the message was clear. But then when you have play upon words, metaphors, more intricate word constructions,
Absolutely.
it loses it completely.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
like taking words from a source bucket, simply throwing them into the target language. Not to mention interpreting. No way. I have recently received this question. I didn't know how to react. Some guy asked me if I would consider using, as a beneficiary, as a client, if I would consider using an application instead of an interpreting during a conference. I said, are you crazy?
There's no way.
We are two senior, most of the time we are two senior interpreters in a booth, and we're struggling to keep up with the rhythm, with the terminology, with everything you can think of during a conference. And you want an app, just take Google Translate or wherever.
Yeah.
See some samples of translation. No way, no way. I won't be alive if this happens. It's gonna be long after I'm gone. So no way.
Thank you, Maria. Needed that reassurance from you. Wanted
No
to hear
way.
that only.
Reassurance, no way.
Thank you, Dr.
No,
Plecci.
that's why they still
thank you.
hire us. No, no way.
And this
just think of the healthcare industry.
Yes.
No way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The nuances and when you think
The
about
nuances,
it,
of course.
And special words,
The untranslatable words, the play upon words, the set phrases, the country specific expressions, you name it. No way.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, Dr. Precci. That's
thank you.
Very cool. Because think about like in French. I just think esprit d'escalier, a concept that means you want to remember something and you forgot it. The thought in the stairs. And if you would translate that, it would be the thought in the stairs. And so any other language, English has a lot of strange idioms. And if you just let a machine do that, there's no way it would know what to say, especially in real time.
No, but just think of because we started by talking about movie translation. Another challenge in movie translation is untranslatable words.
Yeah.
All these cultural references that do not mean a thing to my target audience, to the Romanian audience. All these expressions related to sports, baseball.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know nothing about baseball and American soccer. So all this sports related expressions and sentences and all these terms that we don't have an equivalent for, quincenara, baby shower, wedding rehearsal. We don't have a rehearsal in Romania. We just get married and that's it. Okay, we don't rehearse that. We just go for it. Pitch me. I love this verb in English, but in Romania, it implies more than just make a presentation. It is a presentation meant with a view to selling something. We don't have a single verb for that. Just to give you an example, a very simple example.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, everything we're saying here just totally makes a case. So anybody gets approached for, do you want to use machine translation, AI, Google Translate, whatever, for simultaneously? You say this is
no for simultaneous interpreting, no way. For translation, yes, they use it more and more, but then you have a human proofreader.
Exactly. You have to have the human edit, and it probably will be that way. Yeah, absolutely.
Editing. That's why it's called editing.
Absolutely.
Post machine translation editing.
So all this interesting thing there, you've got the remote, simultaneous, and then you have movie translation. what are your favorites? For example, movies from
Oh,
Netflix.
in terms of movies.
No,
Yeah,
you
I
haven't-
have to say, I'm a huge fan of Netflix, not
Yes.
just as a movie translator, because my favorite Netflix vendor is from the United States. I have watched Netflix a lot in this past, I don't know, 12 months or so, after translating hundreds of hours for them. I love feature movies. I love movies that tackle upon not so usual topics. I would love to see more movies like, for instance, I love The Queen's Gambit, or The One, or The Best Offer. They're all on Netflix, because I want to see being a movie translator. I've seen hundreds of movies. I want to see something else than the eternal fight against drug cartels and the eternal love story between a poor girl and a handsome, rich businessman from Wall Street or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to see something else, topics that haven't been put into movies before.
Absolutely,
and yes, I do love documentaries, and I have to say there was a time when I was watching too much Investigation Discovery, but I stopped. So
oh, that's great.
Yes, I'm
Very
back
good.
to Netflix now.
Well, and there's a movie, I don't think it actually got over to Romania. That's the sad thing, is there's still a separation.
Yes,
but
we don't
there-
get the same content. We don't get the same content, I'm afraid.
Oh,
I
that's
translated
unfortunate.
movies I've never seen on our platform, on our Netflix. Or I've seen recently movies I translated like 4 or 5 years ago or something.
Interesting. Okay, so
We
it's
don't get
taking
the
a
same
while.
content on Netflix in
Oh,
Romania
interesting.
as you do.
Yeah, and so I'm sure you would love to see, oh, let's do a movie about your life. That would be so awesome. Because we do need more movies that are interesting, intellectual.
Yes, movies
you know.
about translators. We
Yes.
get these
Hey.
movies about banks and IT companies and whatever. I would love to see a movie about translators.
Absolutely. Well, LA is not too far from here. Maybe I'll have to go and have a conversation. But there's one movie I don't think you've had a chance to see, Arrival. I don't know if there's a way to somehow.
The title is
able-
familiar, but no, I haven't seen it yet.
Well, and what's so interesting is there's a woman who's a translator, and she's called on to help translate for aliens. And it's fascinating because she's very important. And
I haven't
her-
been there, so yeah, this
Oh
would
my
be new
gosh.
to me.
You would be really good in that role, because just imagine there's some kind of language that nobody even knows how to approach, and the translator finds a way to reach out to them because they understand translation is not just about the words.
No,
It's about the
no.
way the words are said, and you have to look at structure. So if we could do another movie, what do you think that would be like? That would have culture, that would have some interesting things about words and language. How would you pitch that idea? Do you have ideas?
No, I would really love to see a movie about this profession of translator or interpreter. And yes, thank you very much. Not Nicole Kidman again.
Good one.
Yes.
And that was a political thing, wasn't it? It was like kind of a spy kind of slant to that movie where
I didn't relate to it as an interpreter. I really didn't relate to it. So
it's high pressure, but at least for you, it's not life or death in those situations. But and then Wind Talkers. Phil put a chat in there. I haven't seen that. Oh, was that about the indigenous, the Native American who were they spoke a special kind of Native American language during the war because no other of the enemy, if it was, the Nazis or whatever, could understand. Yeah, so it's very interesting to see how language has played a major role in many ways. And now Jan, hi Jan. sends a message. Yeah, translation work in many films. Interpretation is changing the message, pretending to interpret, but switching to what the interpreter wants the target to hear. So there's a lot of things that happen in your mind. I can't even imagine how you would manage all that to get the message out.
Yeah, because the difficult part about simultaneous interpreting is that you are listening to the floor, right, to the speaker.
Sure.
While doing that, you already interpret into your target language and continue to listen to the continuation of the speaker's discourse, you know. So you listen to the floor, you do the interpreting, but you're still listening to what he or she continues to say.
Oh my. Well, someday I would love to see either footage or have you replay as a dramatic reading. How did you do both Donald Trump and then Hillary Clinton?
Modulating my voice, told you.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't go to an acting school, but
I would pay a lot to see that. That is awesome. All right. And we have another, oh yeah.
I do have some recordings, so maybe I'll send them to you.
Find them, please. Would love to see that. We'll do a follow-up.
Yeah, no, but it was crazy. I mean, at some point they started arguing. Basically, they were arguing this whole time.
Of course.
But then he said, she doesn't have the stamina to be a president. And then she goes like, you do a tour in 30 countries and then tell me I don't have the stamina to be a president. So it was like that for around 1 hour and a half. And we had 3 rounds on 3 different days, thank God, of debates. And then, you know, the results of the elections and the speech. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
Wow, what a time in history. And you know, you being so calm and trying to deal with this difficult conversation and all the dynamics. And I'm sure you probably felt emotional about what's going on. And then you have to be calm and say these words so that your audience can understand.
Yes, you're supposed to be neutral.
Absolutely.
Never take sides. Yeah, just render the exact message into the target language. That's it. Poof. You're out. Cue out.
Oh, that's fantastic. So that's the journalistic side where you're not even interpreting in a way that would be stylistic, whatever. It's pure data and journalism and conveying the message.
With the US election, there was more poetry than, you know.
Oh, very good. Oh, yeah.
Journalism.
Oh, very nice. A stage production or film version to recreate. I know, Catherine just said that. Absolutely. I would pay to see that. All right. Yeah, so, thanks, Dr. Prachi. Yes, this has been a great time. So more questions, people can put those in the chat. And I had a couple of questions for you, Maria. Oh my gosh, there's just so much to talk about. But the difficulty, so you have the challenging parts. So what about the challenging parts of translating a movie, for example? Because you're in there and you're going to have to choose the words. You're doing the adaptation. Are there other aspects that are challenging?
No, this is the most difficult part. I mean, it's not the language. It's not even the terminology. It's the adaptation. Just to give an example, I translated at some point the Chelsea series, you know, and each episode had around 40 minutes or so, and approximately 600, 700 subtitles, which is a lot. Imagine Lavender, which is also on Netflix, running for 90 minutes, had 600 subtitles. So you can imagine an episode, because all they do is speak very fast. Mm-hmm. And as I told you, there are all these cultural references and references to people we are not familiar with in Romania.
Interesting.
And I'm not talking just about celebrities, but maybe political figures or whatever that we have no idea who they are.
Wow.
So yes, when you have the kind of movie like sitcom, where all they do is talk, that's very difficult, because you don't have time. Sometimes you simply skip content, skip lines because there's no time to put all that on screen.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you have to synthesize a lot.
Absolutely. And you have to condense things and the differences. So the differences between the languages too, between English, we talked about that. And you do French as well. Is that right?
Yes, I do. In terms of movie translation, I do translation from French into Romania because they work only with native speakers.
Interesting. Sure.
Yes, so only from, and as an interpreter, I do work with both English and French. So from and into English, French, and Romanian.
Oh, fascinating. And so you were saying French and Romanian, there is some relationship, there's some similarity in a way?
Yes, you may or may not know, but Romanian is the Eastern Europe's only Latin language, and it belongs to the same language family like French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese.
Sure,
so
Romance.
yes, there are, yes,
Oh, very interesting.
there are
Yeah.
similarities.
Very nice. And are there loan words that also fit from the other languages into Romanian? Must be.
Yes, of course, there are many words that we borrowed from French and adapted, to the Romanian phonetics.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. All right. So we are just about out of time. There's just so much to talk to you, and we want to bring you back and just find out more of your escapades. Yes. And a final question. We talked about the challenges and the most joyous things, the things you're most proud of. So all of this, all in all the work you've done, what's your number one most proud achievement? If you can
my
pick
interpreting at NATO and my interpreting live when Romania was invited to join NATO.
Very good. Absolutely. What a moment.
So
that was.
life is the operative word for me.
Oh my gosh, what a time. Well, thanks everybody for coming today and enjoying this. I'm sure you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And Maria, you're delightful to talk to. We love your stories and all the things that you've said that are going to be encouraging quite a few of our audience to pursue translation, to do more in translation. And I'll be happy to be a representative, thinking about going up to LA and what can I do to make these deals happen? Because this is the fun part. This is the thing I think that we do so well, bringing the world together through film and movies, streaming, interpretation. That's definitely the biggest thing we can offer. So again, this has been Localization Explained, a day in the life of a movie translator / interpreter. Wonderful gifts of Maria. Thank you so much, Maria. And
thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. And so the recording will be sent out. I do have some production work to do on that, and that does take a little while. So I will let everybody know when the recording is ready. So take care, everybody, and have an excellent day. Thank you so much, Maria. The best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All of your endeavors.
Take care.
We love you.
Stay in
All
touch.
right. Stay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.